Giuliano, thank you very much for coming.
You're welcome.
Lovely to see you.
Thanks.
How you been?
Pretty good. Yeah. Pretty good.
So, like all good podcasts, let's start at the beginning. Where were you born? Where were you brought up?
Okay, so I was born in Cardiff, and I was brought up at a young age in like Llanrumney, and then as my family did really well with all the restaurants and Jacksons, we ended up moving to Cowbridge, to a nice big house in Cowbridge, and I lived there until I was about I think 12, something like that, and then moved back to Cardiff. And then was full into the catering with all the family, with Jacksons and all the Zio Pins and Fontana di Trevi and places like that.
So, where are your family from originally?
Well, my father's from Parma region in the north of Italy, and my mother's from Pontypridd. And I think from what I remember, their story was that they met in a cafe. My mother was a waitress. And they got together from that.
Yeah. So there's a lot of Italians in Wales, isn't there? Can you tell us anything about that? I've always found that interesting.
Yeah. Well, I mean, from what I've learned from the past is that basically during the end of the war, the Second World War, there was like towns in Italy that the total town emigrated to Wales. Especially where my family region was a place called Bardi. And so, I mean, not to go into a huge story about it, but basically my great-great-great-uncle saved the town of Bardi during the war because half my family were partisans, fought against the Germans, and half of them were high up in the Italian army. So the one that was high up in the Italian army, he protected the town of Bardi during the war because it was about to be destroyed by the Germans. And then from what I hear, that all of the town emigrated to Wales. And so obviously that's why all the ice cream places and the cafes and everything, if you ask them, they probably say, I'm from Bardi.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
So you're down in... talk to me about like Jackson's, the restaurant and stuff like that there. How did that come about?
It started, I think, in the early 60s. My father opened a chip shop in Broadway in Cardiff, and it was extremely successful. And because it was so successful, everyone was saying, okay, now it's time for you to open a beautiful restaurant and everything. So my father opened pretty much the first Italian restaurant in the center of town in Cardiff called the Fontana di Trevi. And he basically used all the ideas of this, the sculptures and everything, the fountains in the Fontana di Trevi. He made himself with all the statues, pouring water, everything. So it was quite a famous restaurant back in the 60s, 70s, and it was in Church Street, I think, in the center of town. And because that became so popular, he opened all the Zio Pins then everywhere. So they became great pizzerias around Cardiff. And then again, people were saying, oh, you should open a beautiful club. You've done great with all the restaurants. Now it's time. So he decided to open a club, and it was Jackson's back in the mid 70s. And it became the best club in Great Britain because of my father was always looking for... how do you say, things before its time. So he came up with the laser technology, which was the first in Great Britain to be in a nightclub. And I had two older brothers that used to, break dance and body pop, to open the club, the show and everything. And it became the club, really, to go to, but a little bit before its time,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So do you have any memories yourself from that?
Place? Yes. Especially with the when I was only about maybe 5-6 years old, and I was collecting glasses around the club and everything, and the Welsh rugby team were at their ultimate. They were super amazing.
Yeah.
But they used to trip me up and play tricks on me, and make jokes all the time. And now I'm starting to hear about them. Certain players are not around anymore. And it was just a great experience, for me as a young kid,
Yeah. Amazing stuff. So
Yeah.
where did you go with the catering then? So you got into catering straight from school?
Yeah, well, basically, from the early age, straight away, because we lived in Cowbridge.
Yeah.
My father, extreme disciplinarian, so he basically making me, dig dishes, collect all the stones, do all them kinds of things. And obviously, then when they're busy in these places, he asked me to either do the dishes or, get involved in certain ways. And then basically, I was trying to get out of school. I never liked school. I used to hide in the cupboards and things like that, so nobody knew where I was. And one day I got caught. Police came and opened the door and saw I was like sleeping in a cupboard kind of thing, and said, they thought I was robbing the house when really I lived there, but it was out in the garden. And then basically I was looking for any way to get out of school. So I saw an opportunity when I was 15, before all my exams and everything, to go to Australia. So I had a ticket to go to Australia. And at that age, it just amplified my confidence and experience, because I started, really I shouldn't say this, but I was selling paintings and soft drinks door to door. And I have fixed lines. I still can remember them to this day. You know? And I used to just to survive for 6 months living in Australia. So when I came back from there, I just super confident then. So I was running restaurants all around Cardiff. Ended up in a Chinese restaurant and Noble House, which was like opposite the bus station in the center of town. Very famous Chinese restaurant. And then I got hired by a consortium a couple of years later, a consortium of Chinese to work in Yugoslavia before the war broke out, So that was an amazing experience,
So what, you've come back from Australia then, and then started doing it, and then you've gone to Yugoslavia?
So basically I came back from Australia. I was very confident in the restaurant business, so I started working in a few different restaurants, ended up in Noble House by the time I was just turned 18. And that's when I got recruited then to go and work in Yugoslavia for 6 months to run a piano bar nightclub called Marco Polo's.
Yeah, what was that like? What was Yugoslavia like in them days?
I would have to say it was probably the best country I've ever been to, and I've been to a lot of countries. It was an incredible experience. I was basically running this place, only 18, the prime of my life. The job was work from 6 in the night till 6 in the morning, 7 days a week. I think it was only like £100, but all my expenses were paid. So I had a private jet ski wait for me, like 12 o'clock in the afternoon. And then I met a couple of page 3 Sun models, and they wanted to go on the back of my jet ski, topless and everything. So I'm going around all the islands and becoming famous without intentionally doing so, And I remember after working in the club, after the first week or two, I then in the daytime walking through the market, which was behind this club, and people were treating me like I was running the whole town, They throwing me an apple. I'm walking down the street with my long black coat, and it was like an incredible experience, really. Too many women. Yeah. But let's not go too far into that.
Any famous ones?
Well, there was a supermodel, and but then I lost a girl because I wanted the supermodel, and it ended up a little bit of regret there, But I mean, at the end of the day, it was a long time ago. So if the wife happens to be listening, I'm very sorry. But
So what was the next step after Yugoslavia then?
Yeah. Oh, okay. So when I was in Yugoslavia, I learned how to become a real professional cocktail waiter. Cocktail waitering doesn't really seem to be around anymore. It's just the comfort and the knowledge of how to balance a load of drinks on a tray and be able to,
Well, I've seen you in the restaurant, and you're the best waiter I've ever seen.
that's like 15 years later,
Yeah.
the after effects. Saying that, I did one time drop a tray. I have to mention this because it's it's one of them ones that never leaves you.
Yeah.
I was working in that Chinese restaurant before I got recruited to go to Yugoslavia. I dropped, I thought I had served all the drinks on a lovely table. So I served them to everyone. And then I happened to forget that there was a red wine on the center of the tray. And I leant over and the red wine went on the center of the table, splashed on everyone. They all got mink coats and, the highest class clothes you could ever imagine is splashed on all of them.
Yeah.
And almost got sacked over it. But somebody else took the responsibility and said they nudged me, which never really happened, But yeah, that was they played hell, and I don't know if you know, but Chinese, when you do something wrong, they really let you know that you've done something wrong, But I can spin any trays or plates on my fingers and everything, and but that's purely because of the confidence with trays, And in 1997, I won Cocktail Waiter of the Year for Wales, or for Cardiff and Wales. And I, from then on, I've been a very, very good cocktail waiter, but nobody else does it anymore. And I get scared when I'm watching people carry trays and they're using their two hands and, very nervy,
So that was the profession you took out for yourself then. You've just learned that over in Yugoslavia and you brought that back to Wales with yourself then?
Yeah, pretty much. I think that, when I ran the place in Yugoslavia, it was really all about drink service. So, as well as dancing and, doing all my little bits of robotics that I picked up from my older brothers, I thought, I've got to have a go and try to really master the tray,
Yeah.
So I did that, And then when I came back, when I used it in the restaurants that I were working, kids love it. Not everybody can do it. So, great.
Yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. So what was the next step then when you come back from Cardiff, or what did you get up to then?
Yeah, I mean, when I came back, I was, at that time of my life where I was looking for the right kind of restaurant to work in. The right kind of place. Basically, I moved around quite a bit. I only stayed like up to a year in each restaurant that I worked. So, I worked in a Welsh restaurant. I worked in a Portuguese, Chinese, obviously Italian, because my accent comes out more when I work out in, work in an Italian restaurant.
Yeah.
Only speak about 50% Italian, but enough to get me by. And then I could, because I was at a young age, I've always wondered when I was watching, all these Chinese and Indian takeaways opening up everywhere, I could never understand why there wasn't an Italian takeaway. So that was my goal, was to open an Italian takeaway. So I ended up in the late 90s, I think it was, and I opened Giuliano's Italian Takeaway in Birch Grove in Cardiff.
Yeah.
And extremely successful straight away. But I had a little bit of my own vice, which I was a gambler at the time. I went into Le Croupier's casino when I was just a young boy with £10 and won £55,000.
Did you?
Yeah, I lost control, I did.
Let's talk about that night then. That sounds interesting.
Oh, gosh. Painful for me, really, because it was actually the day before. Yeah, but I mean, I get in trouble, because I was underage going into the casino, you see.
Yeah, but it's years ago now, isn't it?
Okay.
I don't think
nobody will remember. I hope nobody remembers.
Yeah.
But, I was running Chacha's nightclub. I was assistant manager in Chacha's nightclub.
Yeah.
But I was only 15, turning 16. It was after I got back from Australia. And, but I mean, just before that, obviously, I had an opportunity to go to Australia, but basically I had to have my own money and everything, but the ticket was paid. So I thought, oh, great. But I went into my Leeds account and I saw I only had £10 in there. So I thought, okay, I'm going to close the account and take out the £10. So I closed the account, took out the £10, went to Le Croupier's casino. They just know me, so they didn't verify me because obviously they thought I was old enough.
Yeah.
I looked like an old man at that age. And yeah, I went in with a tenner, and it was the strangest experience of my entire life, where it didn't matter what I did. It didn't matter if I closed my eyes or turned around and threw a chip behind me. It wouldn't matter what I did. Anything I did, 100% straight away win. So yeah, I mean, for an example, I went in, I had £10, so I picked 10 numbers, I put them down, okay, one of them comes in, okay, great. And then the next time, okay, I put, say, 3 numbers and I put £5 on each. Oh, one of them comes in. And then I walk over to cash out, to get a bit of cash in my pocket. But when I'm there, I put £1 in the fruit machine, won the jackpot, went in the fruit machine next to it, won the jackpot. Then I thought, oh my God, this is so strange. So then I went over to blackjack, and I thought, oh, okay, I'll just put £100 on 2 of them and whatever. Bang, 21, bang, 21. I'm thinking this is just too weird now. Then I walked over to a roulette table, and I maybe put I think it was the maximum. I think it was £50 on. I just chose one number, and bang, it comes in. And then I'm thinking, oh my God, this is too weird now. And then I just started throwing chips all over the place. Everything I did, it won. And then I happened to glance at my watch, and it was like 2 minutes to 12, 2 minutes to midnight. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is way too much money now. And I called a friend, and he come in, and he cashed everything in for me. And we basically, there was a little bar area with a TV, and I chucked out all the cash on the table. And basically, you couldn't see the table. There was so much money. So I grabbed one little pile, put 500 in my back pocket, and I was starting to count. And then everybody's coming from the pubs and everything into the casino. So I had to just quickly grab all the cash, or sticking it all in my pockets and everything. And I'm walking around. It looks like I'm wearing a bomber jacket when I was really wearing a really thin jacket. And that's the point where I lost control then. I was living in St. Mellons. And I went back on the table, and the first one straight away lost like maybe £3,000 on the first spin. I thought, oh no, I want to get that back now. Maybe 10,000, 20,000, basically threw away the money.
Yeah. All on the same night?
Pretty much. I gave away, because I started calling all my friends, so I gave them all £1,000, paid for everyone for everything, and made a night of it. But when everyone's going and everything, and the place is about to close, I think it was about 4 a.m, I lived in St. Mellons.
Yeah.
And so I'm like basically, trying to recruit some money, but I was just losing. And at the end, I thought I lost every single penny. So I'm walking out of the casino now, tears in my eyes, thinking I'm going to Australia tomorrow. I got no money. I could have walked away with that. I could have bought myself a house. I could have done so many things. So there is regret there, but there's also me saying to myself, "Hey, you're a gambler. I'm just a kid, but I'm really hooked on gambling." And then I was really sad, thinking I'm going to walk now all the way to St. Mellons from Cardiff city centre. So it's a bit of a trek, and I put my hands in my pocket, and the first £500 I counted out, I still got, hey, I can catch a taxi, I can go home, and I can go to Australia,
Yeah.
more money than I started with. So if you want to look at it in one way, I won £490, really, if I look at the good side of it. So from that, I was always a bit of a gambler, a bit of an addicted gambler kind of thing.
Yeah.
And from that, I kind of didn't really learn my lesson, but I understood that, you could get in a bit of thing. And so, when I had my Italian takeaway in Birch Grove, it was making huge amounts of money. But I also had that problem. So, it was win or lose £1,000 every day in every bookmaker's on the roulette machine, which, it was great until they changed it.
Yeah.
And then I stopped that. And pretty much it goes down that route.
Do you gamble now?
I tinkle, I call it now.
Yeah.
I try not to, but I don't know, in the last couple of years, I've had money difficulties. So when you have money difficulties and you have a bad habit like that,
Yeah.
it tends to draw you back a little bit. So I do every World Cup and Euros and stuff like that, and I've always won. So I had no money in the last Euros, and I bet everything on Italy and Wales doing well.
Yeah.
And I won quite a lot of money. I had no money at all, so I begged the wife, "Can I borrow £100?"
Yeah.
And that would be my maximum for the Euros. But soon as I did my first £100, every single one was starting to win for me. So I tried to call everyone and say, "Look, Italy are going to play Spain, and 100% Italy are going to beat Spain 2-0. Please believe me." And so I tried to tell as many as I could. It was something like 18 to 1, something like that. And I put straight away £50 on just that score, 2-0, and it came in. So I ended up going home, and I had no money, and I was traveling all around France, following Wales, in their games and everything. And I ended up, rather than come home in debt, I came home. I had about £4,000, so I paid off £2,000 of debt. I bought my wife a new fridge, and I just tried to basically spend the money as quickly as possible so I don't waste it. Yeah.
Gambling's a tough one, isn't it?
It's horrible. It's horrible.
It's like talking about like vices and stuff, like, drugs, drink. You can only take so much drugs in a day.
Yes.
You can only drink so much in a day before your body gives out.
Yes.
Gambling, you can do everything in an hour.
Oh yeah, no, it's mentally. It can really hurt you mentally,
and
because
it's addictive, isn't it? Because you've got that winning as the high.
Yes, it takes away your sleep because you're constantly thinking of what you're going to do the next day with certain amounts of money, and how you're going to improve it, and how you're going to make it better and stuff like that. So it never plans out the way that you dream about it. But it's a killer because people don't tend to realize. They think, oh yeah, you're just asking to borrow money because you need it for this and for that. After a while, people start to think, hey, I'm lending this guy money. He must be wasting it or whatever.
Yeah.
And so it damages your reputation as well, which is hurtful because I believe it's like an illness. It's like anything that you have an addiction of.
Yeah.
It's an illness. And unless somebody is able to work with you and repair it, you're always going to suffer with it. I mean, there was a point in my shop, I was so successful in my first takeaway and losing the money that I had to turn to my wife and say, "Look, I'm sorry, but I've blown all the money and we're in trouble."
Yeah.
And she stood by me, which, hence why we're still together, 25 years married now. And for someone to stand by someone who knows that they, threw away, for me is a major thing. So ever since then, I've not lost control, but I have lost maybe £100 or something, which I wish I never did.
Yeah.
But I tend now to keep it under £50, and now I'm trying to completely wipe it out. I haven't deleted all the apps off my phone yet, so I'm sorry about that. But yeah.
So what happened? What came next then after the restaurant in Birch Grove?
The takeaway. The takeaway, yeah. I mean, I had that on and off for at least 8 years. It was my brother saw the opportunity to take it over from me. He could see that it was starting to stress me and things like that. So I decided, it's time for me to get out, before I do any more damage. So he took on my debts and took it over. So I walked out of there I still went bankrupt for one bill that I thought I had cleared and I didn't. And I had to go bankrupt over it. So there was a great lesson for me, a lesson of, when you do something like that you focused and you know exactly which direction you're going to be going.
Yeah.
And in that case, it kind of, it taught, we still, let's not, get things wrong. I still managed to have good times through that takeaway. I mean, as soon as I took it over, it was a broken down old veg shop. And we turned it into a beautiful little Italian takeaway. And he even painted the roof, thinking, oh yeah, it'll look nice, this lovely orange color. I come back the next day and all the tiles had come down because they couldn't handle the weight of the paint. So it was, and then I had to buy all new tiles. So I put all the new ones in, but it was quite good because it made the orange that I had painted the ceiling on the strips and the white tiles, and made it look quite funky and quite stylish. So, it was quite good. But yeah, it was after I left there and it shut down, I went bankrupt. I then I was became like a freelance restaurant manager then, where I would just go to certain restaurants and help them out and work part-time everywhere, but they only call me if they really need me. So I ended up working in Cowbridge quite a bit, a little bit in Cardiff, and yeah, and then that was pretty much up to that point.
Yeah. So, where's your wife from then? Is she from Cardiff or is she Italian? Or?
She's a Welsh girl. Yeah. She was born, I think, in Newport, and then I met her when I was working. Later on, what happened was my family kind of got together again. After we had all separated, got together and said, let's open a restaurant together, all of the family. So I ended up in Caramella's in Westgate Street, and Caramella's in Westgate Street was like a 200-seater dine and dance. So we had like a club downstairs and a restaurant upstairs, but also you could dine downstairs up until a certain point. So the whole family got involved in that, but slowly, each member of the family started to leave because it wasn't, we all had different visions of how to run a restaurant.
Yeah.
And so Caramella's, ended up really interesting for me because it's where I met my wife. I'll say a quick thing of how I met my wife was basically I was running the restaurant. We were very, very, very busy. There was somebody's birthday downstairs, which in the club, and it was a 50-year birthday, and my wife was in that party because she knew people in that circle, and I was working the bar, but I was just had the funny cowboy hat on, and I was spinning cocktails and making cocktails and everything like that. And I saw this woman in the distance, and I thought, very, very nice. If she comes over, I'm gonna, thing. And I kept asking the other barman, is she looking at me? Is she looking at me? And, yeah. So I ended up making these really funky cocktails. I think something like Blue Lagoon or something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, she ended up, she had came over, cocktail, and I started, doing my little flirting and everything, and I ended up, I wanted to dance with her, So I came out and I had a dance with her. As I was dancing with her, one of my other professional waiters that was working with me, handed me something behind my back, and I'm thinking, oh, okay, what's this? He's done something for me to give to her. So I pulled it out, and he had created a beautiful rose out of foil and sprayed inside it with the perfume and everything. And then I pulled it out and I passed it to him. And I said, just for you and everything. And I think that did it,
Yeah.
And then, I was very busy anyway after that dance and everything. And she started to go with some of her party and everything. And I just shouted in the distance, I think I need your number because I think we need to get together. And she came running back and said, yeah, okay. And next thing you know, we met up in Henry's, and yeah, it was like a magical experience,
Nice.
But that was Caramella's in Westgate Street, and then from there, I met the owner of a new casino that was opening in Cardiff, and opposite the Park Hotel. And he liked my style and the way I was doing things. And he was just about to go and watch Wales v Italy in the Millennium Stadium. And I said, okay, just before you go, I'll just let you know, Wales are going to win 2-1, okay? And I didn't know at the time that he was opening a casino and everything, but I was just talking about bets and things like that. And I said, look, just so you know, this is what's going to happen, And he went, really? And I went, yeah, 100%. This is what's going to happen. And so he went and he must have gone to the game and everything. He came back later on that evening, brought, all guests, Chinese guests with him and everything like that. And I said, champagne straight away. And I said, how come you're celebrating? He goes, yeah, because of your tip. He said, I put some money on it and everything, and it was really great. And I thought, oh, that's cool. And then he asked me a question. He says, oh, do you know how to play spoof? Spoof is like an Italian game that you play for drinks and things like that, is where you have either 0, 1, 2, or 3 coins in your hand, and you have to work out what everybody's got in their hand and count a total number. And then you call out that number, and if you're correct, you make it through.
Yeah.
And this guy goes, do you know how to play it? He says, because I don't. But all the Chinese on the table said, we know, that. So he goes, would you play for me? And I said, it depends. What are you playing for? And he goes, champagne. I went, okay, I'll do it for you. And he goes, okay. So straight away, I win straight away. And so they end up, one of the Chinese buys the champagne. And he goes, oh, again. Okay, another Chinese win. I win straight away. And then by the end of that night, when he's leaving, he goes, if you ever leave here, he said, you can come and run my bar or do any job you like in my new casino. So I said, oh, okay, that's interesting, something different. He goes, but all I'm going to make you do is spoof everyone so I can win drinks all the time and everything like that and ask you for tips. And I went, yeah, that sounds interesting. Okay, I'll get back to you. So eventually, maybe a few months later, after we were all leaving Caramella slowly, one by one, I ended up going to the casino to work there. And so I worked in the casino for maybe 6 months, just as an experience. And then basically he kept bringing people over to the bar, and then I spoof and everything. I don't think I ever lost, though. No. Never ever lost. I think he asked me about a boxing match. Tommy Gunn, I think, was playing Lennox Lewis or something like that, a fight like that. I said, I just watched the Rocky movie. I can tell you now, Tommy Gunn is going to come out really great in the beginning, but he's going to go down on the 6th or the 7th round. Yeah. He's like, are you sure? And I went, yeah, 100%. I even put money on myself, and it did happen. So then I was really bonded with him, kept trying to set me up with a woman and gold and this, that, and the other. But I didn't follow on from that,
Yeah. SBS Salvage, South Wales #1 vehicle dismantler and car part specialist. Serving customers throughout the region for the past 10 years. You are sure to receive the very best price for your scrap or salvage vehicles. Just check out our websites, Scrap Car Cardiff or even sbssalvage.com to get an instant online quote. We buy all cars, vans, etc. Should you need any part for your car or van, don't hesitate to call us, and our dedicated parts department will definitely be on hand to assist you. We also offer the very best prices for copper, brass, lead, aluminium and all other types of metals. Just give our friendly staff a call on 01446 421 034, Monday to Friday 9 to 5 or Saturday 9 to 1 to receive a price, or come down to our depot in the rear of the unit, 7 Redrup Business Park, Cardiff Road, Barry, CF63 2QW. We also don't just buy cars and sell parts. We also sell part-worn tyres at the very best prices at our depot on Robbins Lane in Barry, CF63 1QT. Call us Monday to Friday 9 to 5 on 01446 701 515, where we will assist you in any way we possibly can. So where did you go next? What was the was there more travels after this?
Oh yes. Yeah. I mean, so I went 18, I went to Yugoslavia. When I came back, I worked in there, and then later on, at a later date, I opened up a place called Sell For You, which was basically a product selling, where I sell your new or almost new products that you've kept in your garage for years or whatever, and I sell them for you, and I get you 50% commission. The only problem with it is I was great getting all the stuff and filling up the warehouse, but I was terrible at selling it.
Yeah.
So I was stuck with it for too long and paying the expense for the building and things like that. And it got me in lovely debt. And the person I borrowed the money off also didn't gain from it because I just built up a nice bit of debt and everything from it.
Yeah.
I did offer that person who gave me the money for me to open a restaurant, but they chose for me to open that. Probably the worst choice, you know. But yeah, and actually the other place I was going to open, it ended up being an Italian restaurant and doing really well now. You know, it was in Caerphilly actually. And I think it's called Volare now.
So it's still there, is it?
It's there now, yes. It's because, I mean, I don't want to jump ahead, but later on in my life, I've become a coach bus driver, isn't it? So I was doing the Caerphilly run and I'm going past the restaurant that I would have bought if I didn't buy the Sell For You.
Yeah.
And so seeing it packed and everything just made me feel like, oh my gosh, I definitely made the wrong choice, you know?
How did you get into the coach driving? What made you jump like?
I mean that goes a little bit more to recent times. It's I opened the Italian takeaway in Ferndale first, called Marco's. I had basically an investor. He invested a little bit of money for me to open this thing, and he'd be my partner. And when I opened that Marco's, it was a how to say it? I tried to do something that was just a fresh Italian takeaway. And because, I mean, it was very, very popular. Everything really went great. It's hard to explain. But the plan with my business partner was for us to expand very quickly, so I wouldn't be stuck in the place. Because right at the beginning, I said, look, because of Giuliano's, I don't want to be, working in the takeaway and just on a low income, because obviously when you open a business, you don't take much. You just take a small amount and you make it go for a long period of time, until it's making enough money for you to take more.
Yeah.
So I got Marcos to a certain point, and he said, "Oh, because you're going to expand, so I bring in I employ a team, so I can step away." And my wife was also helping me. We could have stepped away, but because the expansion didn't happen, I was kind of stuck in the place and paying over wages. So I ended up having to get rid of people that I've already trained. One by one, until it's just, my family. So me, my wife, that I hired my children, because I had twins, and they were about 20 years old when they came to work for me. And basically, I tried to make it the thing, and I could see my business partner wasn't going to do the expansion. And so it would have meant me getting rid of everybody and just me and my wife back to that for us to make money.
Yeah.
So I thought, hey, I've done this for 2 years now, and you haven't made that step that you said you're going to do. So I said, I'm going to have to close it, because otherwise we're going to fall into debt again, and I thought, I can't be doing that. So I closed Ferndale, but the moment I closed Ferndale, my daughter then was inspired by the way that we cook and the way we do stuff. She said, oh, look, I'm going to open my own place. So I helped her to find a place. We found a lovely place in Tonapandi. It's called Liana's, really good place. But she does it a way that I could never do it, where you create your own dishes. So she makes everything lovely and fresh, and she's got lovely fresh ingredients, except that, if you really wanted, you could have, pretty much anything you want inside your pasta. So when I see stuff like pineapple with steak and, crazy ingredients, I'm like, oh my gosh, I could never serve that. You know? But obviously, if you want it and you want it that way.
Everyone's different, isn't it?
So she's accommodating everybody.
That sounds amazing. Yeah, I'm going to have to check that place out.
Yeah, it's basically, my daughter opened that. I was a bit upset with, my business partner, because basically he decided he wanted to sell the building. I also, I was involved with that same business partner with all properties. And so I was told that basically I could purchase loads of properties for him, so I searched. I did so much research, and I had to read all the legal packs of all these places, and I picked them up in auctions, you see. So I was very cautious, and I wanted to make sure that whatever properties I bought were going to make money for my investor, basically.
Yeah.
And so when I did that, one of the buildings I bought was the takeaway, because it had an A3 license. It was a 3-story building, and I picked it up for so cheap that I thought, oh, this is lovely. But my deal was I would get 10%. And so, I really, really, like each property I went in, there was like 3 of them were like marijuana factories.
No way.
So I had to get rid of all the soils and, selling all the soil and trying to get rid of all the screws that were in all the roofs and all the hanging hooks everywhere.
Shouldn't be too hard in Cardiff, really, should it?
No, this was like the valleys.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, because he wanted me to buy all properties in the valleys. So I ended up buying in total 7. But I was told if I bought 10, that I would get one of them because I was on a 10% commission. But it only got to 7. And then the takeaway came into it, you see. And then it was 50-50 on the takeaway. But, and it didn't cost me a hell of a lot to do it. I think it was something like about 20 grand. But I had help from the government. They gave me another 10 grand. And I managed to get it all nice, open and functioning really well and very, very busy in a really quiet, probably the smallest town in the valleys, really, Ferndale, And then the daughters opened that. And then I was a little bit upset, a bit because I'm type 2 diabetic as well. So I got to watch what I eat and my exercise and everything. So I was a little bit stressed. And I thought, everyone keeps talking about if you can drive a bus in the valleys, you can drive it anywhere. So I thought, okay, let's, become a stagecoach bus driver. So I thought I'd give it a shot.
Yeah.
So I started working for them. I did a year working with them, but it was affecting my diabetes, my eyes. I went to the doctors not long before I left there, and they were saying that the diabetes has reached the back of my eyes. It's starting to have effect.
Yeah.
So I had to go to the stagecoach manager and everything and say, look, I think I have to leave because I'm getting worse and worse. Sitting down for 10 hours, driving a bus is not helping my diabetes at all.
Yeah.
And I felt a little bit like, I don't know how you say it, is it underappreciated or, you're just a number,
Yeah.
When you're a bus driver, you're just a number. And I'm trying to give them all these ideas and tell them, look, if you just put a sign up saying, rate your driver, you'll know if they're a good driver. The customers have got something to say other than negative because it's all targeted around negativity.
Mm.
And, just driving along thinking, God, I'll open a lovely place by there or I'll open a place over there. But I just didn't realize how hard it is to get money, borrow money. Now they want a guarantor. But a guarantor is like asking someone for the money because at the end of the day, you're asking them to guarantee you for the money.
Yeah.
Like I know that, if I had the money that I would definitely be able to pay it back because I understand business and I got this wonderful idea of a new place I'd like to open, but I can't get the money. So I thought, well, for the moment, I had a phone call the moment they heard that I was leaving the bus company. Well, I actually had a couple of phone calls, but my younger brother wanted me to come and give him a hand in Mir Porta Due in the brewery quarter.
Yeah.
And it's been a long time since I've worked in the city centre, and it's been a long time since I started doing 12-hour shifts. I'm so used to like a 5-hour, 6-hour, give it everything you got for them amount of hours, and reap the benefits from it. This one is like 12 hours, see if I can still stand by the end of it, and then drive home quite a far away after it. So yeah, I did. Go there eventually. So I'm there now. So
yeah, I love that place.
Yeah.
lovely, isn't it? Lovely.
Well, because Cardiff, it used to be 85% private restaurants around Cardiff, and only about 15% were big companies, like these big Ivy and, it's like a McDonald's, but it's just everywhere.
Yeah.
And now the tables have turned, and it's more 85% big companies and 15% the little man, the private guy.
Yeah.
So if that's not telling the story, and I was so happy that my younger brother, he's stuck with all the beautiful fresh food that he gets from the market every day, and he just tries to supply fresh food every day. And that's my thing, you know. I go to a place where I know the food is fresh and the service is going to be good. And I don't know if I'm as good as I used to be, but I try to give the best service I can, you know.
No, you give amazing service. The food's amazing in there. You know, it's that what you're talking about, you know, the little private touch.
Yeah.
You go in these big restaurants and they're just churning it out. Nobody cares, do they?
Yeah.
It's just a little personal touch that.
Yeah, I used to hate hotel catering because hotel catering, they allocate you tables. So you're working in a restaurant and there's 10, 20 tables in the room and you're only allowed to serve 5 of them. Oh, it's like, please let me serve the rest of them as well. You know, it's like, don't let me only serve them tables. So you see, you got 3 happy tables over there and everybody else is miserable. It's because I could only serve them 3 tables.
Yeah.
Makes no sense to me. No sense at all, you know?
So, where was we? Malaysia then. Talk to me about Malaysia.
Yeah, okay. So, I mean, I had this opportunity to become a gold production manager. So, obviously, first thing I do is watch all the gold programs and, get ready for it, you know. So, I watched, all the gold rush and the Bering Sea gold and the, Alaskan gold and the Australian Aussie gold and watched all the programs just to learn as much as I could about it, really, and did a bit of research online to see what sort of things I would have to do. And I got there and I went for it. I mean, okay, initially, it was only meant to be a few years anyway, and so I thought, it's going to be a great opportunity to learn more about it and everything. So when I went over, it was an amazing experience, but it was stop, start. You know, it was like a piece of equipment breaks down, you're out for a week. Another piece of equipment breaks, you're out for a month. So even though, yes, I was finding loads of gold and everything, it was way too much stop, start. So if you get a salary, you basically, either be bored for a month or go to KL, which is about a 7-hour drive, and party and spend all your money and then go back and do it again, And so it was a lot of that. So, I when I first went there, it was just in the middle of a jungle, a few roads, but not many, and having to move equipment into the middle of a forest, where they were removing the trees and everything was by hand at the beginning. So we weren't using a trommel. We were just using like a sluice in the middle of the jungle where everything by hand. So we have to, and an excavator. So, put the dirt down, wash it all, use big giant hoses and take it down a big sluice. Eventually, then we moved the trommel. We had a trommel up the top. We brought it all the way down into the center of the jungle and we started using that. But the sluices were a lot smaller, And through watching all the programs, I kept saying to them, you're going to have to, bigger sluices. Eventually, they brought in a really good guy, he was from, where was he? I can't remember that. Yema, yeah. He was from Yema. Brilliant. He could manufacture anything himself, so he was able to build bigger sluices. So as soon as he arrived, yes, he was like, okay, you need bigger sluices. You need to do this. You need to do that. And straight away we saw the difference, You could see that we were catching more gold. So so I was basically, because I was gold production manager, they gave me a shaker table, cement mixer, and just big, huge buckets of dirt that I had to sieve through to see if I could find some nuggets, and then put it onto the shaker table and catch as much of the fine gold as possible. So it was incredible, really incredible. Saw some crazy animals. An elephant nearly knocked me off the cliff. Because I every day I drive in, it's about an hour drive to get in, about 20 minutes on the main roads, and then about 40 minutes off-road. So I was going around these cliffs, and one time I was coming out in the night, and then I went around one corner right on the edge of a cliff, and there was an elephant that started charging me. And I could see he was with his family, so he was only protecting his family. So I'm like, what do I do? What do I do? Turn off your lights, turn off your lights. So I quickly turn off all the lights in the Hilux. And then the elephant came right to the bonnet, looked at me kind of thing, and then just turned around and went with his family. And we were just like frozen solid.
Yeah.
So it was like a life or death moment, you know? There was other times I saw scorpions coming out of my boots, and I saw a big, like a panther, you know, jump in front of my car, you know, and like across my car. So yeah, it was really, you know, plenty of animals, plenty of really interesting wild boars and wild dogs everywhere, because they're Muslims. They discard their dogs, and so there was millions of dogs in the jungle.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was really interesting, you know. And 2 years of that, and then my marriage. I was getting a little bit concerned about my marriage, so I went home, got my wife, and brought my wife over and my son. You know, because the person that recruited me basically said that I could bring them over. You know, so I brought them over, and we were all doing that. We lived first of all in a horrible little house that was full of rats and infested and everything. So I was killing loads of rats, drowning them. Everyone kept telling me to leave them out in the sun, but instead I had to, you know, drown them, because I just didn't want them to slowly be tortured, you know.
Yeah.
And we managed to get rid of them, wired, meshed everything, and then the owner of the gold mine came down, saw where I was living, and went, oh my gosh, I'm going to get you another place and whatever, and moved us into a beautiful apartment then. So the three of us were living in a beautiful apartment, and it was really great. It's just too many stop-starts, really.
Yeah.
It was like, then I was like, so I managed to save up a bit of money, and then the next minute, I've blown it all in KL, you know?
Yeah.
And so a little bit thing.
What an experience, though.
Incredible experience, yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
So we've got a mutual friend, haven't we, in Mr. Eddie Avoth?
Oh, yes.
So how did you come about to meet Eddie, and how did you get friendly with him?
Well, he's a family friend anyway. When I was a young boy, he was... he was just always in Jackson's. He was a Jackson's guy, you know. I knew him well when he had silks in Spain, and I went to stayed in his house with him and his wife and his family, you know. And I always loved it because I knew about the movie that was made in his house, you know, the Marine issue.
Yeah,
and. So, yeah, I mean, he's always been a very close to my family, the Caramella family, you know? So, I haven't seen him in a few years, but, he's a character and a half. You know?
Yeah, he's a lovely guy, Eddie.
Lovely.
Love Eddie. We had him on. He's done an interview.
Oh, lovely.
He's up for an MBE or an OBE in the New Year's Honours.
Oh, wow.
So we're going to wait for confirmation on that, and then we're going to release the episode with Eddie. So,
oh, excellent. Oh, okay,
yeah,
that sounds really good. Yeah.
So you're in Mia Portadew now, is it?
Mia Portadew in the brewery quarter in Cardiff.
Yeah. So what's your plans for the future?
I've bought a company. It's called Bellissimo Italian Limited, and basically. I have plans. I don't want to say too much because, people steal plans. But I will say that it is going to be a unique chain of Italian takeaway with other kind of options without giving too much away.
Yeah.
I've already bought the company name, just finding it difficult to find the finances at the moment. But I believe that this first place that I would open would make so much money, probably make whatever I want to borrow in the first few weeks. You know, it's that good.
Yeah.
So yes, I'm looking for a good investor or a good guarantor that believes in me.
Yeah.
And this initial place is going to be like a cafe, Italian takeaway, a little bit different in the daytime and a little bit different in the evening. And it's near Cardiff. It's in between everyone. It's a really, really good location. The idea of it is so I can finally open the one that I want to open, which would be, okay, I'm going to say this, but make sure nobody opens it, otherwise I'm going to come and close you down.
Yeah.
It's going to be a beautiful drive-in, drive-through Italian takeaway. I would like service to our cars, so we can serve people in their cars. You can watch a movie and so on. And I also the fast thing where they can actually pick up their food and take it with them. But I'm looking to do a smaller menu of the best Italian dishes that you could ever taste.
Yeah.
So I love making desserts. I'm not allowed to eat them anymore because I'm diabetic. But, one in a blue moon is not so bad.
Yeah.
and basically open this place as soon as I can, really. I'm just, at the moment, I'm working me at Porta Due because my brother's had that restaurant for a while. It's a beautiful restaurant, great food. Now I'm there, it's great service, I like to say. And I just want to open my new place. I've bought the company name intentionally because you put it there. They say whatever you believe, or whatever you can conceive and believe, you can achieve.
No doubt.
So I try to live by that. Yeah. And I'm a very big karma guy. So whatever goes around comes around. So yes, I am definitely going to open a place. And so please listen out for Bellissimo Italian. And I will get them open all over the UK as soon as possible.
Looking forward to that. That'd be good, wouldn't it?
I can't wait to open the first one, to be honest. And I don't need much money. I've got most of it. So yeah. So if I get that open, I will blow everyone out of the water. It'll be the place to go. And it happens to be in the middle of like a KFC and a McDonald's, all the worst foods you could possibly eat. And then you got a beautiful, fresh Italian takeaway right in the middle of all of it. That's what I want to do.
It's what we need.
It's what we need, yes.
Yeah.
Well, this country is like, come on, if we want to look after ourselves, let's eat great food. Let's make sure it's fresh. And let's make sure that, we're having a night of it.
Yeah.
Not just a salty, bloody burger that is being, factory made with smells attached to it,
Yeah.
Or KFC with this deep fried that that's not going to be good for you, with the coating that's not good for you. And, it could be great food and you can have it once in a blue moon, but have some decent food at the same time,
That's it, yeah.
So that's all it is. I want to open something lovely and fresh, teach people how to cook, because at the end of the day, I have a passion for that, and show people that is a lot better ways to eat than the way we are all eating now. I mean, I found myself when I was working on the buses eating pasties every day. And if anybody knows how bad pasty every day is going to do for a diabetic, whoosh,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think we're at the right age at the moment. I mean, people are like a lot more knowledgeable about food and the harm it does. It's come to the forefront in people's lives now, haven't it?
Yes.
Like years ago, people weren't really educated on food and what they were eating.
No, that's right.
But now it's kind of popular. And
well, it was all about convenience. No?
Yeah.
So, if it's there and it's easy and it's not going to take long, then let's just get that, And that's probably why McDonald's and Greg's and all these places are doing so well. It's just convenient. I mean, who wants to cook when you can quickly grab a burger and some fries and stuff?
Greg's on legs, they call me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'll be honest with you. I've eaten so many when I was on the buses that I thought, oh my gosh, I look like a pasty.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like you go from corned beef to this, to that, and you're thinking, oh my gosh,
Yeah. Well, Giuliano, thank you so much for coming.
Oh, it's been a
amazing
pleasure
talking to you, and it's lovely to see you.
Anytime.
And I'll be in the restaurant next week.
Excellent.
We'll have some food.
Nice, and Christmas craziness. You're going to turn up. Oh, lovely. And no matter what, I said I would find you a table, didn't I?
Yeah.
I'm in trouble now.
Thanks for coming.
No problem at all.
Cheers, mate. Thanks.
It was a pleasure.